Okay, now it seems like we do have the people here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I just switched.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Then, Tammy, do you maybe want to start with the favorite topic of everyone, which is
Corona.
at the moment Corona?
No, it's not our favorite topic. It's like the most miserable thing happening right now, I can say. I have to make a comment on this just to make sure. Please. Live show. Hopefully they see this. Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, not this. Zero. Okay, so Corona. If you guys can hear us, then please say, just put something in the chat box. We've been having technical difficulties and have no clue why things have changed on YouTube. Favorite topic, Corona.
Yes.
Least favorite topic, I guess.
It is like one of those where right now worldwide there are very different measures in place, and especially we get it a lot from clients who come from countries where the measures are more relaxed and bars are open, restaurants are open. They don't understand that right now in Germany it's not like that. There's a actually just restrictions have gotten a little harsher now over the Easter weekend. So still everything applies, and it's still difficult, not impossible, but difficult to enter Germany.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, sorry, I'm caught off guard about the technical difficulties. It's one of those things where in Germany right now, it changes so quickly, and that's what's really hard. So Monday, we've had this extension till April 18th. Easter was supposed to be this extremely strict, hard lockdown. And then as of today, there was an emergency conference called where Easter plans have changed, or things are changing so quickly. But you have to look, if you're coming to Germany as an expat looking to move in the next few months, you have to also look at and consider the regulation in Germany, what's happening. Most of the situation is things will start to ease up, fingers crossed. But travel is going to be one of the slower things to ease up, right? I mean, in my opinion, I would assume.
Yeah. I think travel will be the last thing to ease up.
Yeah.
And for everyone who just joined us,
Thank you.
see there's a few more people. There were some technical difficulties, so thank you for switching over to this stream. And now it should work fine. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and then we'd be happy to answer them. And also, please subscribe to our channel, and we'll release a new video every week.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you have questions for us that we don't cover during this live chat, or if you want to have your questions answered, just please put them in the chat box and then we'll answer them. Did you just say that?
I just said that. That's okay.
I am off today, I'm telling you. No, I was actually doing really well until 6:30 technical difficulties. Okay, so first question we have is, let's skip kind of Corona stuff for now, because I'm sure we'll get back to that. But what kind of work can I do with my permit?
That should be specified on your permit card. On the permit card, especially reading it together with the additional paper, the Zusatzblatt, it will have all the restrictions and limitations of what you can and cannot do. So the first step will give you the status that you can work in, and that will be either as an employee or self-employed or as a freelancer. Then within that, it will specify more clearly what you can do. So just because you're allowed to be a self-employed person doesn't mean you can do any self-employed job. It will then more specifically say what type of work you can do. That could be, for instance, an IT designer or whatever your job specification was. And then that will clearly list what you can work in.
Yeah. So freelance English teacher, if that's titled there, then that doesn't allow you to work in a cafe. So
Yeah.
you have to be very, very clear on the extra additional paper, what it says. What do I need to apply for my permit?
That's obviously very general. It really depends on what you want to do in Germany. You need to always prove a reason to be here. That could be work, that could be family relations, that could be studies. But you need to show that reason. On top of that, you will need to have a registered German address, and you will need to have sufficient health insurance, although that's a whole nother topic by its own, because for different permits, different health insurance requirements apply.
Yeah. Yeah. So those two main things, at least to get the application started, right? Address registration, health insurance for that type of permit. So those are the most important parts to get started. Okay, then moving right along, can I cancel my health insurance after I get my permit?
No, not really. You can only if you technically you would need to have your new insurance approved by the foreigner's office.
Yep.
What you definitely can't do is not get a new insurance and just cancel your health insurance. That's illegal. You can be fined. Your visa will become invalid. It's a lot of issues. So that's something you definitely can't do. What you can do is get a new insurance. Cancel your old one, get a new insurance. But you have to be very, very careful with that. You need to make sure that the new insurance also fulfills the same requirements as the one that you just got approved with has.
Yeah, and no gaps, correct? Like no lapse in coverage. And actually some foreigner's office even mention the fact that you need to notify them when you switch it to make sure it meets what you originally applied for. So that's a huge, huge issue to try to present something to the foreigner's office to get approved, and then as soon as you get approved, go ahead and cancel it and get something cheaper or something, right? Okay. First, what are the first steps? Should I go?
You go.
First steps. Well, I always say first steps. I mean, being an expat on a whim, canceling my flight ticket and staying in Europe is kind of decide on the city that you want to go to. So most people that are in their home countries now looking to come to Germany, I think narrow down the city. Next thing is, what do you want to do in Germany? So we work with a lot of freelancers, employees, students. I think determining that is kind of the next step. If you agree?
Absolutely. No, you need that. And after that, don't stress out in the beginning too much, but those are the steps you should take first.
Yeah. And looking for housing and jobs, I think we have another question. Yep, next question. So when should I start looking for housing and jobs?
Closer to when you arrive. So you shouldn't do it too far in advance, because it will just be wasted time. You can realistically do it 1 to 2 months before you get here.
Yeah.
Because no one will offer their apartment more than 2 months in advance. It's just not realistic. Same with jobs. It's still too uncertain for any language school or other clients to give you a letter of intent or a contract for the matter if they're not really sure if you're coming.
Yeah.
And especially for freelancers, maybe for employees, you have a little bit more room in advance where you can start to get a contract set up. But for freelancers, definitely, you shouldn't do it more than 2 months in advance, because you go through the application process and at the end, you won't gain anything from it.
Yeah, and language schools, with some being closed or reduced staff or whatever, they are becoming inundated with applications and CVs. And then if you're not in the country already, most of the time, some do find freelancing jobs before they come. But most will want you to be in Germany right now, especially because of the situation with Corona. I hate using that as an excuse for Corona, but it's just where we are, right, with time. So 30, 45 days, 2 months max is good, especially for housing too.
Yeah.
You know, I shake my hands a lot. Okay. Oh, a question about us. No, not really. Giannis, what's your favorite city, I guess, for visiting? This is a different living or visiting, but visiting.
Okay, just for visiting. I really like Heidelberg.
That's
Heidelberg
nice.
is a pretty city with it has all the German standard things, the castle and old city, little hills,
Charm.
river, really really charming. I also like Dresden, um, and then maybe uh, there's many places to visit. It depends a little bit on if you like obviously the big city bustle. Then Berlin is great to see. I've done it. I don't know how many times I've been to Berlin, so that's kind of not where I would do my next city trip. But also I think Aachen is a good secret tip. I don't think too many people know about Aachen.
Yeah, that's true. Very charming. Mine, well, I would say Heidelberg. Okay, let's rephrase this. Any city near or that has a castle or near a castle is probably my favorite. Lindau, actually, I don't know if they had a castle, but Lindau in the very south is absolutely just the most charming little city that, in my opinion, Heidelberg, of course, and Rügen, which is more north by the sea. Is that the sea?
Yeah, it's an island.
Yeah, super, super charming places. But now, toughest visa offices or cities to process visa office stuff, what would you say?
And that's specifically for the freelance permit.
Yeah.
I would not recommend going to Nuremberg, and I would not necessarily recommend going through Cologne.
Sorry, Cologne, Nuremberg.
Although I'm from Nuremberg, by the way, originally. So I really like the city, but I wouldn't recommend doing your freelance permit there. It's just, it will take too long. You might lose a full year, and it's just a nightmare.
And especially nowadays with everything now is even taking longer in bigger cities. So these smaller towns that take normally 6 months to process are now taking 9 months or longer to do. So I would say, yeah, Cologne, Nuremberg, where else would I say? Pretty much any smaller town in kind of the North Rhine area. If it's a very small town that maybe is more dependent on university or employment, they don't handle a lot of freelances, that's not necessarily a deterrent. It's just going to take a little bit longer. So if you know the city where you're going and you expect the delays, then it's okay. Okay, if you guys have comments for anyone that's just joined, you can put your questions in the chat box and we'll answer them here. If not, you can always email us, go to our website, expertlauncher.com, and there is a contact page or a contact us page where you can set up a free intro call, and we will answer your questions through Skype. Okay, next question we had, going back to Corona, is a negative test required for entry?
Yes, at the moment, you will need to show a negative test. That is probably just the airline themselves that ask for it, but also customs. Right now, they do what is called a two-test strategy, meaning you need to show one negative test, I think 48 hours right now before you enter Germany. Then you have to quarantine for 5 days, and then after 5 days, you can do a second test. And if that's negative again, then you can end the quarantine. So if you don't want to do the second test, you don't have to, but then you have 10 days of quarantine. So I think it's worth it, where tests are now freely available and for free.
Yeah, which is really nice that Germany's doing that with the free weekly. It's about 8 days that you can get a fast Corona test free. So local pharmacies in different places will offer them for free, which is really good. We've had it, a few clients have entered over the past 3 weeks, I would say. And a lot of the airlines now, when you go to check in, there are more issues and problems with checking in because you have to verify that you have the right to enter. So if you don't have the right to enter, airlines now are verifying that, because there could be a risk for them for letting someone on the plane coming to Germany that doesn't have the right to enter. So just be mindful of that if you are trying to come in. We will link some useful websites below, I guess. I don't know where to say it, for you guys to check. They're updated regularly. So I would say just keep checking for restrictions for travel, entry regulations, all of that stuff. Okay, so let's see. We went through all those questions so fast. Tips and advice. Do you have any tips and advice for people waiting to come to Germany?
Well, very general. It's probably good just to be patient, not to rush it unless you do have a reason to enter Germany, one that's recognized by Germany that you can come here, because I don't think the situation will change too quickly. Like we said in the beginning, the Corona restrictions actually at the moment are getting worse. So I don't think that travel restrictions will be eased in the next 3 to 6 months. I think in the last call I was a little bit more optimistic, but no, I think not before the end of this year, where travel will be without complication. Obviously, if you have a partner here and you have the unmarried entry allowance, or if you are an employee in Germany, if you have some good reasons that are recognized by law, then you can enter now. But for most people that just want to come here, try it out, and that don't have those relations, right now it's just not legally possible. We see people getting in, getting through customs, but really we can't recommend that, because one, the airline might deny you, and then you booked a flight ticket in vain. And also, even worse, the airline could accept you, and then customs could deny you if you're not considered an essential worker, for instance. Then you're standing there at customs, you have to pay a flight ticket back, and right now it's just not recommendable.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I always think going through customs, I'm doing something wrong anyway. So I don't know if I would even chance if I think that I might get by. Because there are very few entry allowance for people coming from the US. So I think that's really, really important to check, and to make sure that you are looking at that and not, I guess, fluffing everything to make it more presentable than it really is, because they know the laws and the regulations, and they can turn you away. Good advice. Sure. Good advice. I had down, just be prepared. When you arrive, if you are some of the lucky ones that have been able to come in because you have unmarried, spouse or skilled employment, whatever it may be, take your time in that beginning to rest up, because we work with so many expats and clients that come in, and within that first few months, they're always getting a cold or getting sick because they're running themselves kind of ragged. So everything's closed here, more or less, right? Everything's pretty much locked down. So it's time to rest and maybe explore your city before you get hit the ground running with registrations and setting up everything. So another thing, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat box and we'll answer them live. We're only on here for a few more minutes. And if you can also email us too. We can always do that. We do this once a month.
Expertlauncher.com.
Yeah. Our next call is April 28th. Oh, I forgot to say hi, Dad. I don't know if one of these people watching is my dad, but I promised I'd say hi.
Hi.
So with tutoring, we get a lot of questions about how many letters of intent do we need for freelancers specifically. You are required to show 2 letters of intent from German-based companies. So private clients, and you'll hear a lot of different blogs say different things, but you should present 2 German-based schools or companies willing to work with you on a long-term basis, right? Shorter fixed contracts tend to not show that you can sustain yourself living in Germany. So they do show extra income, but you need at least 2 to start to show an ongoing consistency to be able to maintain your living here. I think that's all we have. Went through all those so fast. I think I just talk fast. Do you have anything to add?
Not in terms of the. I mean, maybe in tips of advice, make just sure your I's are dotted and what do you say, the T's
are crossed.
T's are crossed and I's are dotted. So just make sure your passport is still valid for a minimum of 2 years, better longer. Make sure you have enough money to sustain yourself for the first month, and then just save up. If you're planning to come to Germany, maybe wait a few more months, because unless you're super risk taker, then feel free to try. Just we don't recommend it. But we see people get in. That's why I say it.
Holding a U.S. passport.
Yes.
So I would say that's a big difference from people coming from countries that need a visa. There's no way around that.
Yes,
you
that's
need
impossible
to,
at the moment.
yeah, you would need to go to the embassy and apply for the short or long-term visa, and then be able to come in that way if it still qualifies for entry.
Great point.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, be patient, prepare as much as you can, and don't get comfortable, because I don't expect that to go away too quickly. I was a little too confident last time, and the travel restrictions will stay with us through the summer.
Yeah. I mean, we get a lot of those questions. What's happening? When can I come? When can I come? I'm like, well, we don't really know, but we do really feel that restrictions for travel will be one of the last things. I mean, they're still having slight restrictions for other EU countries coming into Germany. So I feel like they would figure out that first before they allow, other countries to freely enter as a tourist.
Yeah.
Okay, then thank you guys for joining. I'm sorry that we had some technical difficulties in the beginning.
Next time we're getting it. We're getting better.
I have no idea what it's. Yeah. Oh well. But thank you guys for joining. Please, our next live call is April 28th, and we will start right on time at 6:30 German time. But in the meantime, you can check out our website and message us if you have any questions. And yeah, we'll see you guys
soon. Press like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you soon. We'll upload a new video every week, every Wednesday. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in expat videos around Germany.
Nice. Thank you guys. Stay healthy and safe, and we'll see you soon.
Bye. Guys.